Good afternoon. No. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. My name's Sid Espinosa. Thrilled to be here. Zeev, team, Mel, thank you so much for having me again. It's great to see so many friends here. He, him pronouns. I am the head of social impact at GitHub, which is, of course, part of Microsoft. Welcome to session 4. We will have 4 very exciting talks about resilience, partnerships, ripples of change, and the power of kindness. And all of this during turbulent times. It seems to be a theme in conversations that we're all having in the hallway and here. Budget cuts, headcount reductions, sudden policy changes, government partners being shuttered, nonprofits losing critical funding. And we're all so busy, and we're crazed, really. And we're being pulled in way too many directions. We're exhausted. Someone said to me out here, it feels like a death by 1,000 daily traumas. So I think we need to acknowledge that. If you've been through any kind of trauma, the experts will tell you, you stop first and you acknowledge and accept those emotions. Then you think about practicing grounding techniques, mind-body practices, if you've been through that exercise. Consider expressing yourself creatively. That's always a good thing. Establish a consistent routine. And then build a strong support system, be in community. And that's what we're doing here at the summit. We've all decided to take the time to pause, to reflect, to reassess, to listen, to learn, to strategize, to ground ourselves, to prepare, maybe to laugh, maybe to cry for some of us. But we're all in this community together. All right. This is a name drop alert. I'm just saying that first before I tell this story. But years ago, I had the opportunity to go to the home of Nelson Mandela and spend some time with him in Johannesburg. And we talked about navigating through tough times. We had been working with Oprah to build a leadership academy for girls outside of Johannesburg. And both Oprah and Nelson Mandela spent a lot of time talking about overcoming adversity, how you need to get focused, how to make incredible things happen for other people can propel you through life, but it's work. It is not easy to do. They also spoke about impact and innovation. Mandela very famously said, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time that you fall. And I think that's so important for us to think about now. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but rising every time that we fall. So is it too soon to start talking about hope? Is it too soon to start thinking creatively and thinking outside of the box and thinking about the fact that maybe some of the norms we were using just weren't working? Is it too soon to really start talking about innovation? 2 weeks ago, I was at my grad school reunion where the mood was definitely defiance. It's Harvard, so they're in the fight in a real way. But it was really impressive. The policy school is already launching research, studies, seminars to think about how shuttered federal agencies and departments might come back and be rebuilt to address previous fundamental flaws, to learn from those past mistakes, to really appreciate current realities and plan for a very different future. Just this last Friday here in San Francisco, our mayor announced that in order for our arts community to really set up to be, as he said, resilient and drive the city's comeback, he was combining 3 arts organizations, something that had been talked about for years, but politically was impossible until these tough times. And we're seeing it in the tech world, where I live, where in weathering this storm, we've been blown away by a refocus on purpose and impact and an extraordinary level of creativity and innovation at GitHub, where we are the home for most software developers, more than any other platform in the world. That's where developers go to write code. We've seen an explosion, almost 650% increase in nonprofits wanting to use tech to have more of an impact in their community. We're mobilizing developers at scale to help nonprofits and organizations around the world. The results have been staggering. We worked with the UN to build tools that are helping millions of farmers across sub-Saharan Africa get the resources that they need. We worked with the Norwegian Refugee Council, who came to us after the war broke out in Ukraine, to build new tools to help the financial resources of refugees follow them wherever they are in the world. That used to take months, even years to develop. They said, I think with your AI, we could build this in a matter of weeks, and it would really help refugees at scale by the millions, with millions and millions of dollars by the week. It was incredibly successful. It worked. What I'm talking about, though, is not necessarily philanthropy. I'm talking about, in tough times, utilizing tech in innovative ways that we haven't even dreamed of to empower nonprofits. And I want to be clear, because I think we don't talk about it enough from a tech perspective. We recognize tech is not a panacea. With AI alone, there are valid and critical threats to security, to personal data, even to our democracy. We're talking about it here. We seem to be talking about it at every conference to some extent, and for good reason. The issues need to be on the table. They need to be addressed head on. We know this, the nonprofits know it, and still, we're seeing unmatched innovation, a tidal wave really, of creativity and positivity from the nonprofit sector. I have an example, so why don't we take a look?
One Acre Fund started in 2006 with 40 farm families in Western Kenya. Today, we meet 5 million farm families across 10 countries in Eastern and Southern Africa, as well as in Nigeria. Our goal as One Acre Fund is that by 2030, we're serving 10 million farm families annually and creating $1 billion of new revenue for those families. Using GitHub allows us to move much faster to the pieces that are actually creating impact in the field. For smallholder farmers, talking about people with basically 1 acre or less, you have to intensify agriculture for families to thrive. One Acre Fund exists to serve farmers. Our mission is to support farmers to grow a pathway to prosperity. The difference for One Acre Fund is that instead of loaning cash, we're loaning actual farm inputs. So that's fertilizer and seed. Technology is at the center of a lot of our growth strategy. We came from a very analog place where we were meeting farmers in the field, paper, contracts, and pens.
In the past days, farmers used to fear using technology. But as we provide training to them, they're now eager to use the technology. We have digitalized logistics, delivery, farmer registration, training materials. Farmers are receiving inputs on time. They are able to reach more goals.
Since the coming of GitHub Copilot, a time that used to take us 3 weeks, the development work can be finished within a week.
Hey, how's it going?
That's actually affecting our goals. We are able to set actually more goals than last year.
The developer who has been assigned on that project was able to actually achieve 3 times faster, more than 20%.
Yeah.
Of the work has been assisted by GitHub Copilot, yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, we're working with some of the poorest people in the world. When you have razor-thin margins, we can't tolerate license fees that will grow exponentially as we scale. Open source gives us the right balance between solution maturity and solution flexibility.
Being in the open source community is really, really crucial and a strategic move. Recently, we have moved most of the core operation systems to open source because we want to get help from the community. You can come now here.
If you have an intervention that works, that creates a sustainable and useful pathway out of poverty for farmers, and you know it works, and you can prove that it works, then I think you have a moral obligation to scale it. And what GitHub has done and what Copilot is doing is it's allowing us to move a lot faster.
I love that we get to do this work. I love that I get to do this work. If you're in this room, we are in community together. I think the interesting question is, during these types of times, how do we think about things differently? How do we come together in a different way? How do we have a different type of conversation? How do we use technology in different ways? 14 years ago, I was on this stage. Zeev may remember, 2011 Social Innovation Summit. I was the mayor of Palo Alto at the time, and there were things happening in the world, of course. Instagram had just launched, the Arab summer was starting, a tsunami ravaged Japan. Steve Jobs had passed away, Osama bin Laden was killed. Google.org had just started a few years before. Chan Zuckerberg wouldn't be formed for years to come. It's wild how much has happened in that time. And at the Social Innovation Summit that year, we were talking a lot about public-private partnerships. We were talking a lot about scale, scale, scale. We were talking about proximate leadership. Now, it's interesting to think about how we dive into a talk about what has transitioned over that time. How has this sector changed? What have we learned and where did we stumble? But I can tell you that something that has continued to move forward through all of this is innovation. These may be tough times, but people are working on the ground in a way that is still scrappy. They're here for the fight. They need our support. They need our empowerment. They need to help us to help them innovate and to think about bigger impact. And that is resilience. The first talk that we're going to have today is on this topic of resilience. I'm thrilled to be able to invite Dale Strange of Blackbaud to kick things off. Dale, over to you.